When you think about high-rise living, you probably think of Manhattan or Chicago, not Southern California. But there's a building in a city just south of Los Angeles that almost makes you think you're somewhere else. It combines the look and feel of New York's Park Avenue with a West Coast address. At first glance, this building might make you think you're in New York City, but the palm trees in front give it away. The Villa Riviera is an architectural gem with an unusual past in Long Beach, about an hour from downtown Los Angeles.
It was built in 1928, and it was Southern California's first cooperative, so it was really way ahead of its time. The history of the building is actually that it was bought by Norma Talmadge, the silent screen actress, at one point. Through the course of time, unfortunately, it had fallen into severe disrepair, and it had been turned into a hotel, and then in the early 90s into a condominium.
It was about this time that businessman Paul Watson was looking for a new place to live. The building's character appealed to him, so he bought a unit on the 11th floor. He immediately gutted it, creating an elegant 1,600 square foot, one-bedroom apartment. Even though he had renovated previous homes, this job presented problems he had never encountered before.
I was very naive. As much construction as I've done and as many houses as I've done, I've had the benefit of being able to do them very quickly. And for some reason, in this particular circumstance, it was a very arduous process. It was about 9 months, which was much longer than I had anticipated. But I had to do a tremendous amount of electrical work that I hadn't anticipated. Because the building was from 1928, the wiring was extremely old, very inadequate.
In those 9 months, Paul created a striking home that reflects his formal tastes. He also created a space that works perfectly for all the gatherings Paul is famous for hosting.
The space gives me the ability to entertain very graciously and to have people in my home and have them feel special. That's really what I like to do. That, to me, is what a home's about. I really don't understand the philosophy of people that buy these mega-structure homes and don't live in them, or they don't furnish them. You go into them, there's no furniture, or they don't entertain. I don't understand them. Why have that kind of space? My real philosophy is, this is how I live, this is my lifestyle. I want to have my friends here, and that's what it's about for me. So I use every inch of the house.
The elegant foyer sets the tone for the whole space.
My favorite spot visually in the house is probably from the front door coming into the foyer, because I think it says a lot about the house. And I think it's interesting, to me, the most important place of any home is the foyer, because it's just like impressions. The first impression is always the most lasting and the most important. So I would always spend more of my money in the foyer than I would anywhere else.
To the left of the foyer is the living room. Here, Paul's impressive collection of antique and reproduction furniture takes center stage.
My parents had a very large home, and I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to get some of the pieces from them, and also from my mother's family. And I've also collected furniture. My business takes me traveling quite a bit, and I can't help but buy beautiful things.
Some of these beautiful things include reproduction 18th century British open armchairs and a Chippendale-style tea table. The antique rug is a family heirloom from Paul's childhood home in New Orleans. Paul grew up around this type of furniture, and most of these pieces have been with him wherever he's lived.
I believe formal furniture works everywhere because it's classic and timeless. In this environment that I created, I wanted to give it more of a period look, a Georgian look, but not stuffy or old-timey. I wanted it to be fresh and lively and bright, and that's why all the white was used.
Aside from white, what other color to use on the wall was a real dilemma for Paul. At first, he tried taupe.
Taupe didn't feel appropriate for up here for some reason, as much as I loved it in my previous home. So then I just sort of said, well, let's paint it sort of greenish blue. So I thought, well, I'm just going to start mixing. So I took the different cans of paint that I had. I had yellows, and I had greens, and I had blues, and I just kept mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing until I came up with a color that I actually liked. And that's how it happened. It was not very well planned, but sometimes I guess maybe that's the best way to do it.
Next to the living room is a compact galley kitchen. He's turned the nearby breakfast nook into a discreet conversation area. On the other side of the foyer is the dining room. This room again features elegant furnishings. It's the site of many of Paul's glittering soirees. Right next door is the handsome master bedroom. This large space includes an office area for Paul. The focal point of the room is this imposing Chippendale-style canopy bed. Its massive size presented a bit of a problem when movers tried to get it up to the 11th floor.
The canopy is constructed as one massive unit. So what we tried to do initially was drop the freight elevator to the basement, load it on top of the elevator, and take it up the shaft on the top of the elevator. And I think we made it up 3 feet before it broke. So my bed had to be cut into 6 pieces. The post had to be cut off, and the canopy had to be cut into 4 different segments.
Despite the hurdles he encountered along the way, Paul's created a very grand yet livable home for himself.
It's perfect for my lifestyle. I'm a very casual person who loves very formal furniture and a very formal lifestyle. I think maybe it's a welcome change for a lot of people because it is so untraditionally California. I love it.